So there's a whole bunch of Python files that have helper functions for helping you to write in Python. And this was mostly written by Russell Bryant, although there were several other people who contributed to this as well. If you want to learn about writing tests in Python with Asterisk and you want to use the Asterisk test suite to do it, we use StarPy pretty heavily, which is just a Python interface to the Asterisk FastAGI and Manager. And we've actually written a lot more tests in Python than we have in Lua, but it's not going to seem that way because I don't list as many here. First of all tests for transfers have been written in Python. All of our CDR tests, and of course, more recently, all the fax tests that we've written. And Aaron Spiceland's been writing a whole lot of good FastAGI tests recently in Python. So you may be saying to yourself, well, I want to contribute tests, and I want to put them in the test suite so that everyone can run them at will, but you might be saying, I'm not a Python coder. And you might say, I'm not a Lua coder either. Well, that's the thing. It's cool. As long as your run test file in your test directory is executable, then it's no big deal. The run test.py script will just run it. It's cool. You can code in whatever you want. So it's cool to have tests. Just having them is one thing, but it's a lot better if we have some means of automatically running them. So that was another thing that, Russell took the reins of. And what we did was he looked up automated test platforms, and he found one by Atlassian called Bamboo. And you can go to this address right here if you want to learn more about the software itself. So this right here is a screenshot, actually, at Digium. In our software collaboration area, there's a monitor that's just constantly displaying all the various test build agents, and it shows the current status of them. So red means that there was just a failure, a test failure, and green indicates that there was passing. Now, of course, my original intention was I was going to try to get it when it was all green, but then I thought, well, no, I want to have some red on there too, just to show what it looks like. So Bamboo, what it does is every few minutes it checks for new commits, and the first thing it does, it offers automated builds. So it just tries building the test and can alert us, well, you just committed something that doesn't compile. And then it also just tests everything automatically as well. So it runs every single test every single internal test and every single external test, and parses XML output from those tests in order to determine whether the test passed or not. And also, Bamboo is great for generating reports, so it can give graphs and summaries of how tests have changed, the history of whether a specific build has been improved or failing a lot. And it also has a method of having plugins. So one of the ones that we've been using is I believe it's LGov for showing the percentage of code that's being covered right now by the Asterisk test suite. So this is the address that any one of you can go to at any time, and it's bamboo.asterisk.org, and it will allow you can just see what we're seeing as far as the tests go. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go there so we can have a look around and see what's there. Well, this may have been a bad idea. I didn't realize the Wi-Fi was going to be quite this bad. Yes, exactly. And it seems like every single time it works out awfully, except for IETF conferences. Those work wonderfully. It's like they, invented the internet or something. Not really. Okay, well, that's a bust. Well, what I was going to show you was I was going to show you how we have specific build agents for different operating systems and different different operating systems, as well as, for instance, we have x86, 32-bit Linux, and also 64-bit Linux, and we have different BSDs, and Mac OS X, different versions of that. And also, I was going to show you a graph showing the test history of specific builds, and I was also going to show you, of course, how many tests are being run on each one of the different build agents. If memory serves correctly, on our 1.8 Linux build agent, there are something like 120 tests being run right now. So that's the highest number right now. So as you can tell, that's not an especially high number, but we just recently actually introduced the test suite. And so that's why, of course, I'm here, is because I kind of want to get people excited and get people to want to contribute more towards the test suite. But anyway, so let's look towards the future a bit. The first thing, of course, that we want, and why I'm giving this what I just said, is that we want more community involvement towards the testing. We want more people contributing. We want new test cases, and that, of course, means actually testing brand new areas of code, but that also means more specific test cases for test cases that we already have. So, for instance, we have SIP transfer tests, and they use SIP-P, and they have a very generic set of messages. But if we can, say, make it formatted the same way that, say, a Polycom or a SNOM phone uses those invites, then we could say, for instance, that we are testing using those specific vendors. We also need newer test cases for just different options being tweaked, just to make sure that is still passing like we expect it to. We also just need contribution of build agents. By the way, in case I wasn't there, a machine on which an automated build and automated tests are run every time there's a commit. So, for instance, we have a whole bunch of various Linux distributions going at right now, as well as several FreeBSD, or not FreeBSD, sorry, several different BSDs. But we don't have, for instance, an OpenBSD build agent, and we don't have, say, an older, different kernel versions of Linux going. They're all just pretty much brand spanking new, is how we've been going. We also can use more resources for analysis. So for right now in our tests, like say our transfer test again, we can tell whether the channels have been bridged together or not after transfer and determine whether a test passed or not. But we don't look to see whether the channels actually have, say, two-way audio going between them. So some way of analyzing media, which, I mean, there are tools out there to do it, but just having it, say, built into our library so it's easy for anyone to use would be great. Memory analysis. So we do tests to determine, of course, functionality, but we don't do any sort of inspection of whether there was any, say, memory leaks introduced by this new test or not. So something like that would be a helpful thing for us. Performance analysis. Right now, like I said, we're just testing to make sure functionality works, but we don't look to see if, wait a second, that test took 5 seconds to perform instead of 5 milliseconds. What just happened? We also need tests that are not necessarily targeted at testing one specific function, but more just a long-running test to make sure everything is running as we expect it to over a long period, because we can test individual things all day and they'll seem to work, but then you put it in a call center and 5 hours later, things just fall apart. If we have, say, a call center or something like that, then that would be helpful for everyone, I think. And, of course, we can always use documentation. This goes both for the test suite and for Asterisk itself, because when you document how the behavior is to be, then people won't complain about things not working when, in fact, they are working the way we expected it to, but the documentation was not clear at all about the fact. So I'm actually ending this just a tad early, but the way I want to end this is by going through a list of Asterisk milestones. So first of all, 1999, Asterisk was created by Mark Spencer. Big deal. In 2003, Asterisk got a bug tracker. Before that, reporting bugs was just done through emailing Mark or emailing mailing lists. And with the bug tracker, it all of a sudden just became a ton easier to be able to track what needed to be fixed. In 2004, that's when Asterisk 1.0 was released, and we started coming up with versioning policies. And so it was easier to figure out exactly which changes would be included in which versions and everything. So another big change there. In 2005, that should say 2006, we switched from CVS to Subversion, which it's hard to believe we could ever have done anything without Subversion, really. And in 2008, of course, we started doing beta and release candidates, and a huge deal there. And now in 2010, the big deal at Asterisk is testing. We want to expand testing, and we have a huge focus on testing, and we want to look back a couple of years from now and go, how in the world did we ever do anything without these tests? And that's it. Thank you very much.